The building was tall, shining with glass and steel, a place where important people walked every day in fine clothes and polished shoes. Inside this tower, business was done that shaped the city, maybe even the world. Yet in those same halls there was a man most people never noticed. His name was Ethan. He was a janitor, pushing his cart at night, carrying a mop and broom, cleaning the dirt left by others. Ethan was a single father. His daughter Lily was the only reason he kept moving forward. She was young, small, and fragile, often coughing at night. The medicine for her sickness was expensive, so Ethan worked long hours to make sure she had what she needed. He wore an old uniform and his hands were rough from scrubbing floors. People passed him as if he were invisible. Executives would talk about money, plans, and power, but not once did they look at the man bending to clean their footsteps. But Ethan carried a secret. When he worked alone in the silent halls, he sometimes whispered strange words under his breath. They were not English. They were not from any book on earth. They were words that carried a weight, a rhythm almost like music. He whispered them softly, as if afraid someone might hear. The sound echoed against the walls like something from another world. One night, when the office was empty and the city lights glowed outside, Ethan leaned on his mop, tired, and whispered again. The words slipped from his lips like a chant. His eyes closed for a moment, remembering something long ago, something he never told anyone. What Ethan did not know was that he was not alone this time. A young executive, late at work, had stepped out of his office. He froze in the hallway. His eyes widened. He knew those words. They were not random sounds. They were part of a language locked away in secret files, a language only a few in the world had seen, alien words. The executive's heart raced. Why would a janitor know this language? He stayed hidden behind a corner, listening. Ethan finished his whisper and sighed. To him, it was just habit, something left from a strange night in his past. He picked up the mop again and began working as if nothing happened. The young executive rushed back to his office, shaken. He sent a message to his superiors. The janitor speaks the alien words. I heard them myself. While all this happened, Ethan walked back to the janitor's room, a small closet with cleaning supplies. Inside, on the shelf, was a small wooden box. He opened it and looked at something glowing faintly inside, a silver coin-like object with strange markings. He touched it gently and whispered the words again, softer this time. For a brief second, the object pulsed with light, then went dark. Ethan closed the box quickly, as if afraid it might be taken away. At home, in a tiny apartment, Lily waited for him. When he returned, she hugged him weakly. "Daddy, you're late," she said, her voice soft. He smiled, brushing her hair back. "I had to work late, sweetheart, but I'm here now." He cooked her a simple meal and gave her medicine. She held on to the glowing bracelet she had found once among his things. It was too big for her small wrist, but she liked it. "Where did this come from?" she asked. Ethan's face grew serious. "It's from a long time ago. It's not important now. What matters is you rest," but inside his heart ached. The truth was locked deep inside him, and he hoped she would never need to know it. Back in the tower, the executives met in a private boardroom. The young man repeated what he heard. Some laughed, saying it was impossible. But one older man with gray hair and cold eyes did not laugh. He leaned forward and said, "If he truly knows those words, then we cannot ignore this. Watch him. Follow him. Find out how he knows." From that moment, Ethan was no longer invisible. He did not know it yet, but powerful eyes were now on him. The janitor who nobody saw had spoken words that could shake the company, maybe even the world. And in the quiet of his apartment while his daughter slept, Ethan stood by the window, staring at the stars. His lips moved, whispering once again the alien words. They sounded almost like a prayer. Far above, in the endless dark sky, something unseen stirred. The janitor nobody saw was about to be seen by everyone. The next morning, the tower buzzed with energy. Expensive shoes clicked across the marble floor. Ties and suits moved like waves, and phones rang with urgent voices. To most, it was just another day of business. But for a small group of executives, it was not normal at all. The whisper of a janitor had shaken them in the night. In a glass-walled boardroom high above the city, men and women sat around a polished table. They were not laughing now. Their faces were pale, their voices low. The young executive who had heard Ethan speak sat stiff in his chair. His hands trembled as he told his story again. "I heard him," he insisted. "The janitor. Ethan. He spoke the words exactly as they are written in the files. The alien words. Some shook their heads. One woman scoffed. "This is ridiculous." "He's a cleaner, not a scientist. Maybe you misheard." But the older man at the head of the table, Mr. Carver, did not scoff. He leaned forward, his eyes sharp as steel. "You are sure?" he asked slowly. "Yes," the young man said, his voice firm this time. "I would swear it." The words were the same. "I've seen the documents. I know what I heard." The room fell silent. Everyone knew the truth. Only a handful of people on Earth had access to that language. The words had come from a treaty, an agreement not shared with the public. Long ago, a hidden meeting with alien visitors had taken place, and only fragments of their language were recorded. The files were locked, top secret, guarded by governments and corporations. How could a poor janitor know them? Mr. Carver's voice broke the silence. "If this is true, then we have a problem. And maybe an opportunity." The executives exchanged uneasy glances. One man whispered, "Do you think he was part of it? One of the original team?" "No," another replied. "He's too young. He couldn't have been. But maybe he met them later." Mr. Carver tapped the table with his finger. "We watch him quietly. No one speaks of this outside this room. If the janitor knows more than we do, we need to find out." That same night, Ethan returned to work, pushing his cart down long, empty hallways. He felt the same as always, tired, heavy with worry for his daughter. He hummed to himself, not knowing cameras now followed his every move. Hidden eyes studied him. Every step, every word was recorded. When Ethan paused to rest, the strange whispers escaped his lips again. He did not realize he was being listened to. To him it was comfort, like an old song only he knew. In the boardroom, the executives listened to the recordings. The language expert among them gasped. "It's real. Every syllable is correct. He speaks it like a native." Mr. Carver's eyes narrowed. "This janitor is more dangerous than he looks. Or more valuable." At home, Lily played with the glowing bracelet she had found. She swung it gently on her wrist and giggled. Ethan came into the room and froze. "Lily," he said softly, "don't play with that. It's not a toy." "But it shines," she whispered, holding it up to the light. Then, without thinking, she said a sound she had heard from her father. A single alien word slipped from her lips. The bracelet flared with light, glowing bright enough to fill the room. Lily gasped and dropped it. Ethan rushed forward, grabbing it, his heart pounding. He shoved it into the wooden box and shut the lid tight. "Where did you hear that word?" he asked, fear in his eyes. "From you, Daddy," she whispered, scared now. "I only wanted to sound like you." Ethan hugged her tightly. "You must never say those words again. Promise me, Lily." She nodded, but the glow of the bracelet lingered in her mind. Back in the tower, Mr. Carver gathered his closest team. "Tomorrow," he said, "we bring him in, quietly. We'll ask him questions. If he refuses to answer, we'll push harder. No one can walk around with knowledge greater than ours. No one." The executives nodded, though unease filled the room. They had all seen the way Ethan spoke the words, not as if he was reading from a file, but as if the words lived inside him. That was different. That was dangerous. Outside, the night deepened. The city lights glowed like stars on the ground. In his small apartment, Ethan sat by the window, his daughter asleep behind him. He looked at the sky, whispering softly again. Far away in the silence of space, something ancient stirred, something listening. The janitor nobody saw was now the center of a storm he did not yet understand. Ethan had never told anyone the truth. Not the doctors who once questioned his strange scars, not his co-workers who sometimes noticed him staring at the stars too long, and not even his daughter, Lily, who trusted him more than anyone. His life as a janitor was a mask, a way to disappear. But the past had a way of coming back, like shadows that never left. That week, as Ethan cleaned the top floors of the tower, memories came back to him like broken glass. He remembered a night many years ago, before Lily was born, when he was younger and stronger. Back then, he had worked on a construction crew far outside the city. The night sky had split open with strange lights, and the world he knew had changed forever. It was not a dream. He had seen the ship, massive, glowing with lines of blue fire. It landed quietly in the forest, hidden from most of the world. But Ethan had been there close enough to feel the ground tremble. He remembered running, afraid, but then he heard something. Someone, crying in pain. A figure had stumbled out of the ship, wounded, unlike anything he had ever seen. Its skin shimmered like metal, its eyes deep and sad. Ethan had wanted to run, but he couldn't. Something inside him made him stay. He pulled the creature to safety, hiding it until the light faded. The alien had placed its hand on his chest and spoken words Ethan had never heard before. Strange, powerful words that burned into his mind. Words of gratitude, words of promise. Since that night, those words had never left him. Now, years later, Ethan still whispered them in the dark. But the executives were beginning to uncover his secret. In the boardroom, Mr. Carver spread photos across the table. Old reports of sightings, strange accidents, missing people. One report caught their attention. A record of an unknown incident at a construction site years ago. A single witness had been reported missing afterward. The name on the file was familiar. Ethan Carver's lips curled into a thin smile. So the janitor was there. The timeline matches. He isn't just repeating alien words, he lived them. The younger executives exchanged nervous glances. "What do we do?" one asked. Carver's voice was cold. "We take control of him. If he carries alien knowledge, we will use it. If he resists, we remove him." That same night at home, Lily found the wooden box again. She sat on her bed, her small fingers tracing the carvings on the glowing bracelet. The light flickered as if responding to her touch. She whispered softly, "Friend of the stars." The phrase felt natural, almost like she had always known it. The bracelet pulsed once, twice, then shone brighter than before. Lily gasped. She thought she saw shapes in the air, faint outlines of tall, glowing beings. She blinked and they vanished. But her heart raced with excitement, not fear. Ethan entered the room and froze when he saw the light. He snatched the bracelet and shoved it back into the box. "Lily!" His voice was harsher than usual. She flinched, tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Daddy," she whispered. It talked to me." Ethan sank onto the bed, holding his head. "You don't understand, Lily. That thing is not safe. It belongs to a world far from ours. If people find out we have it, they will take it, and they won't stop there. They'll take you from me." His voice broke, heavy with fear. Lily hugged him, her small arms tight around his neck. "I won't tell anyone, I promise." Ethan nodded, but his heart was heavy. He knew promises could not stop what was coming. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the tower, cameras tracked him, files piled up, and whispers spread. The executives wanted answers. The world outside was silent, but something unseen stirred in the stars. Late that night, as Ethan walked alone through the empty corridors of the building, he heard a sound that froze him in place. A whisper, not his own, echoed down the hall. Words in the same alien tongue. His blood ran cold. He turned, but no one was there. "Impossible," he muttered. But then on the wall ahead, strange glowing symbols appeared, faint at first, then brighter. Ethan's eyes widened. He knew the symbols. They were the same he had seen on the ship years ago. He touched one with his hand, and it flared like fire. Unseen to him, the cameras captured everything. In the boardroom, the executives leaned forward in shock. "He can read them," one whispered. "He's not just remembering words, he understands them." Mr. Carver smiled, his eyes glinting. "Good. Then he will lead us straight to what we want." Ethan pulled back, his heart pounding. The symbols faded, leaving the wall blank again. He backed away slowly, whispering under his breath, "They're coming back." And somewhere, far above Earth, in the dark silence of space, a signal pulsed in answer. The tower stood silent that night. Most workers had gone home, leaving only empty desks and dark screens. But on the top floor, in a hidden boardroom, the executives were wide awake. They had been watching Ethan for days. Every whisper, every movement, every strange light that came from his presence had been recorded, and now they wanted answers. Mr. Carver sat at the head of the table, his sharp eyes fixed on the screen replaying Ethan's latest act, the glowing symbols on the wall. The room was filled with tension. "It's real," Carver said coldly. "The janitor isn't guessing. He understands their language. He's the key we've been waiting for." Some executives shifted uncomfortably. One of them, a woman named Clark, leaned forward. "But why him? Why would aliens choose a janitor? Over us? Over people with power, money, and knowledge?" Carver's mouth curled into a thin smile. "That's what we're going to find out." The order was given. The next night, as Ethan pushed his cart through the quiet halls, he noticed something strange. The lights above flickered, then went out completely. The building dropped into darkness. Only the faint glow of the city outside lit the glass walls. He froze, his mop still in his hands. Then the symbols returned. Bright, burning shapes spread across the marble floor and glass walls. Ethan's breath caught. They shimmered like fireflies, forming words he could read without effort. His lips moved, speaking them softly. "We are near. We see you. Do not be afraid." He staggered back, his heart racing. The same words he had heard long ago when he first saved the alien. They were reaching out again. But why now? Before he could think further, footsteps echoed behind him. The light snapped away as if it had never been there. "Ethan," the voice was cold. He turned and saw two men in dark suits. They were not security guards. They moved with purpose, like hunters. "Come with us," one of them said. Ethan swallowed hard. "Why?" "No questions," the man replied. "The board needs you." They led him up to the hidden boardroom. When the doors opened, Ethan's eyes narrowed. A dozen executives stared at him like scientists studying an experiment. Mr. Carver leaned forward with a thin smile. "Mr. Ethan," he said smoothly. "Or should I say, friend of the stars?" Ethan froze. His body went stiff. He had never told anyone that name, not even Lily. Only one being had called him that, long ago, on that night when he pulled the alien from the wreckage. His mouth went dry. "You don't know what you're saying," he muttered. Carver chuckled. "On the contrary, we know exactly what we're saying. We've heard your whispers. We've seen the walls light up. You carry something inside you. Knowledge that does not belong to this world. I don't know what you want from me," Ethan said quietly, his eyes hard. Carver's smile faded. "We want the truth. How do you know their words? What else have they told you? What do you carry that we don't?" Ethan's fists clenched. He looked around at their greedy faces. They didn't care about peace or knowledge. They wanted power. They wanted to own what didn't belong to them. Finally, he spoke. His voice was steady, but his heart beat fast. "Years ago, I saved one of them. It was hurt, dying. I carried it away from its ship. I gave it water, shelter, and warmth, and in return it gave me words, not just sounds, promises, keys. They're not just words of power, they're words of trust." The executives leaned forward. One of them whispered, "So it's true." Carver's eyes gleamed. "And what did this alien promise you?" Ethan stared straight at him. That one day they would return. And when they did, they would not speak to governments or corporations. They would speak only to the one who showed kindness when no one else would. The room went silent. For the first time, the executives looked shaken. They realized what it meant. When the aliens came back, they wouldn't care about money, contracts, or influence. They would only care about Ethan, the janitor. Carver slammed his hand on the table. "Then you belong to us now. Everything you know, everything they gave you, it's ours." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You don't own me, and you don't own them." The executive's eyes burned with greed and anger. Some whispered about taking him by force, about using his daughter to control him. Ethan felt his blood turn cold. He had seen that look before, in men who cared for nothing but themselves. But before they could act, the lights in the boardroom flickered again. The screens went black. Strange symbols appeared across the glass wall, burning bright for all to see. The executives gasped. A voice echoed through the room. not from speakers, but from the air itself. Low, deep, and unearthly. Friend of the stars, we are near. We come for you. The executives trembled. For the first time, their power meant nothing. And Ethan, standing in the middle of the boardroom, felt both fear and hope. The hidden truth had finally stepped out of the shadows. The tower felt heavier than ever. After the strange voice filled the boardroom, the executives sat frozen in their chairs, their faces pale. For a moment, the powerful men and women of the company looked small, like frightened children. Ethan stood in the center, his heart pounding. He had not asked for this, yet the voice had spoken his name. Friend of the stars. Mr. Carver was the first to recover. He slammed his fist on the table and barked, "This changes nothing. They want him, so we will use him. He will speak for us, or his daughter will pay the price." Ethan's jaw tightened. His fists curled at his sides. He wanted to strike the man, but he stayed calm. Rage could not help him. Not now, the room filled with whispers. Some executives argued, "We should welcome the aliens. Work with them?" Others shook their heads. "No, we control them through Ethan. He's nothing without us." Ethan stood tall, even though his uniform was stained and his shoes worn. He looked at them with tired eyes. "You don't understand. They're not here for you. They don't care about your money or your power. They care about one thing, kindness. They came back because they remembered someone showed mercy when no one else would." Carver sneered. "Don't play the hero, janitor. You belong to us now, and when they land, you will do as you're told." Before Ethan could answer, alarms suddenly blared through the building. Red lights flashed, sirens echoed, and security ran in confusion. Outside the tower's glass windows, streaks of blue fire cut across the night sky. Ships, silent, glowing, descended like falling stars. Executives rushed to the windows, their mouths open in shock. The ships hovered above the city, their strange lights reflecting across the glass. Crowds on the streets below screamed and scattered, pointing at the sky. The aliens had arrived, and their message was clear. They were here for Ethan. Panic broke out in the boardroom. Some executives shouted orders, others scrambled for phones. Mr. Carver, however, remained calm. His eyes gleamed with greed. "Bring his daughter," he ordered coldly. "If the aliens want him, we'll make sure he listens to us first." Ethan's chest tightened. "No," he shouted, stepping forward. But guards were already moving, already on their way to find Lily. He had no choice. He had to act now. Ethan turned and ran, faster than he had moved in years. He tore down the stairwell, his breath ragged, his legs burning. He had to reach Lily before they did. At home, Lily was sitting by the window, staring at the glowing ships in the sky. Her small hands held the wooden box. The bracelet inside pulsed brighter than ever, almost alive. She whispered softly, "They're here, Daddy." A loud knock rattled the door. "Open up!" Voices barked. Lily backed away, fear in her eyes, but before the door could burst open, Ethan arrived. He shoved it closed and locked it, his chest heaving. He pulled Lily close, hugging her tightly. "We have to go," he whispered. "Daddy, I saw them," Lily said, pointing out the window. "They're looking for you." Ethan nodded. His eyes burned with both fear and determination. "Yes, but we have to choose, Lily. If we go with them, the company will never stop chasing us. If I stay, they'll take you away from me. Either way, we can't hide anymore." The sound of heavy boots echoed in the hallway outside. The door shook under forceful hands. Ethan grabbed the box, shoving the glowing bracelet into his pocket. Then he looked into his daughter's eyes. "Listen to me, Lily. Whatever happens, you stay by my side. No matter what they say, no matter what they promise, you hold my hand and don't let go." She nodded bravely, though her small body trembled. The door burst open. Guards in dark suits rushed inside, weapons ready. Mr. Carver stepped in behind them, calm and smug. "It's time, Ethan. The choice is simple. You come with us, or we take her." Ethan's blood boiled. But before he could speak, the room shook violently. The ceiling lights flickered and a low hum filled the air. Everyone froze. Outside the window, one of the alien ships descended closer and closer until it hovered just above the building. A beam of blue light cut through the roof, pouring into the room. Strange symbols spun in the air, glowing and alive. The guards staggered back, shielding their eyes. A deep, powerful voice filled the room. "Friend of the stars, come. The time has come to choose." Ethan stepped forward, holding Lily's hand. His heart thundered. On one side stood the aliens, offering something unknown, something greater than he could imagine. On the other side stood the executives, greedy and ruthless, threatening his daughter's life. This was his moment. He looked down at Lily, her small eyes wide with both fear and trust. He knew the truth. He had always known it. The aliens did not choose him because he was powerful. They chose him because he cared, because he had shown mercy once long ago. Ethan drew a deep breath. I choose her. I choose peace. He spoke the alien words louder than ever before. The bracelet in his pocket flared with light, answering him. The guard stumbled back. Mr. Carver shouted, "Stop him!" But it was too late. The beam of blue light wrapped around Ethan and Lily, lifting them gently from the ground. The last thing Ethan saw was Carver's furious face. His mouth twisted in rage as the light carried father and daughter away, upward, toward the waiting ships, toward destiny. The blue light carried Ethan and Lily upward, gentle but powerful, wrapping them like a shield. For the first time in years, Ethan felt a strange kind of peace. He held his daughter close, her small hand gripping his tightly. The world below grew smaller, and the glowing ships above drew nearer. It felt like escape, like freedom, but freedom never came easy. As the beam lifted them higher, gunfire cracked below. The sound of bullets rattled the walls as guards fired at the light, desperate to break it. The beam shimmered, bending and flickering. Ethan's heart raced. Could it fail? Could they fall? Then, just as suddenly as it began, the light cut out. Ethan and Lily crashed down onto the roof of the tower. He rolled, protecting his daughter with his body. Pain shot through him, but he forced himself up. Around them, the night roared with alarms and chaos. Mr. Carver stood waiting with more guards at his side. His face twisted with triumph. Did you really think they'd take you so easily? No, Ethan. If the aliens want you, they will come through me first. Ethan's body ached, but his voice was steady. You don't understand, Carver. They won't talk to men like you. They never will. Carver's eyes narrowed. He gestured to his men. Take the girl. The guards rushed forward. Lily screamed as two grabbed her arms. Ethan lunged, striking one hard, but he was outnumbered. A baton struck his back, dropping him to his knees. He gasped, struggling to rise, his hands clawing at the ground. Carver crouched beside him, his voice low and cold. You're not in control, Janitor. You never were. We own this city, this tower, this world. Even if the aliens want you, we'll make sure they bow to us, or they'll never see your daughter alive again. Ethan's heart thundered in his chest. Rage boiled inside him, but so did fear. He looked at Lily, her small face streaked with tears, fighting against the guards. His soul burned. Don't touch her, he roared, forcing himself to his feet. But a gun pressed to his chest stopped him cold. Carver smirked. You'll do what I say, Ethan. You'll speak their words for us. You'll give us what they promised you. Or she dies. The roof trembled. A shadow fell across them as one of the alien ships descended lower. Its glowing hull lit up the night sky. A voice rolled like thunder in the air. Release him. Release the child. The guards staggered, shaken by the power of the sound. Even Carver's smug expression faltered for a moment. But then his greed hardened. He shouted back at the ship as if he could bargain with the stars. You want them? Then give us what we want first. Technology, power, weapons, the secrets of your kind. The ship pulsed with light, but no reply came. Carver turned back to Ethan, pressing the gun harder into his chest. Say the words. Tell them to obey. Ethan shook his head. That's not how it works. Carver's eyes narrowed. His voice dropped to a hiss. Then you leave me no choice. He raised the gun, not at Ethan, but at Lily. Time froze. Ethan's breath caught. His world narrowed to that single moment. The guards held his daughter tight, her wide eyes staring at him, full of trust and fear. No, Ethan roared. He spoke the alien words with all the strength he had. They rolled from his tongue like thunder, burning in the air. The bracelet in his pocket flared to life, bursting with light. The guards screamed, dropping Lily as if burned. Carver staggered back, blinded by the sudden glow. Ethan rushed forward, grabbing his daughter and pulling her into his arms. The alien ship answered. A beam of pure energy lashed out, striking the rooftop. The guns melted, the ground shook, and Carver's men scattered in terror. Carver himself stumbled but refused to run. His eyes burned with hatred. This isn't over, he shouted, pointing at Ethan. They may call you friend of the stars, but to me you're just a tool. And I'll break you. Before he could strike again, another beam wrapped around Ethan and Lily, pulling them upward with unstoppable force. This time nothing cut the light. No bullet, no greed, no betrayal. As the rooftop shrank below, Ethan saw Carver's furious face one last time. The man was small now, but his hatred was not. Ethan knew the fight wasn't finished. Carver would never stop hunting them, but for now he had his daughter safe in his arms. The ships welcomed them, glowing like guardians, and high above Earth, far from the reach of greedy men, the truth waited to be revealed. The beam lifted Ethan and Lily higher and higher until the tower, the city, and even the furious face of Mr. Carver were swallowed by distance. The night sky stretched wide, filled with glowing alien ships. They moved with grace, silent yet powerful, like giants watching over the earth. Ethan held Lily close, his heart racing. For years he had hidden the truth, buried his past, and lived as a man no one saw, but now there was no hiding. The aliens had come back for him just as they promised. The beam carried them into the belly of the ship. The air shifted, cool and clean, filled with a faint hum. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, flowing like rivers of light. Lily's eyes widened in wonder. "Daddy, it's beautiful." Ethan squeezed her hand. "Stay close, Lily. Don't let go." They were greeted by tall figures whose bodies shimmered like living metal, their eyes deep pools of light. One stepped forward, bowing slightly. Its voice echoed both in the air and in Ethan's mind. "Friend of the stars, you kept the promise. You spoke the words." Ethan bowed his head, his voice soft. "I only did what was right." The alien's gaze shifted to Lily. "And this is your child. She carries the gift too." Lily blinked in surprise. "Me?" she whispered. The bracelet on her wrist pulsed with light, as if agreeing. Ethan felt a chill. He had always known the words were alive, but to see his daughter touched by them filled him with both pride and fear. The alien raised its hand, and a great screen of light appeared. Images filled the space, Ethan pulling the wounded alien from the wreckage years ago, hiding it, saving it, whispering comfort when it cried out. The executives watching him in secret, Carver's greed and betrayal. Lily gasped. "They know everything." The alien's voice echoed again. "We do, and so do they. Your leaders will not stop. They will hunt you, use you, and twist what you carry. But it is not theirs. It was never theirs." "It is yours," Ethan frowned. "Then why me? I'm not a leader. I'm not important. I'm just a janitor." The alien leaned closer, its glowing eyes fixed on him. "Exactly. You are not greedy. You are not blinded by power. When the moment came, you chose mercy, and mercy is stronger than power. That is why we gave you our words. That is why you are our bridge." Ethan felt the weight of those words. He looked at Lily, her small fingers wrapped around his. She smiled faintly, her eyes bright with trust. "Then what happens now?" Ethan asked. The alien raised its hand again. Symbols flared in the air, forming a glowing oath. "Speak, friend of the stars, bind our promise. Make your choice, and the future will follow." Ethan's chest tightened. He could still hear Carver's voice in his mind, threatening to break him, to take Lily. He knew Carver would never stop. The executives would scheme, betray, and destroy if it meant gaining power. But here, standing before beings older and wiser than mankind, Ethan had the chance to do something greater. He closed his eyes, drew a deep breath, and spoke the alien words, not whispers this time, but loud and clear. The sound filled the ship, rolling like thunder, echoing across the stars. Lily joined him, her small voice blending with his. Together, father and daughter completed the oath. The ship shook with light. Outside, the entire fleet pulsed like a heartbeat. A message spread across the earth, carried on beams of energy, written in symbols no human government could hide. We choose peace. We choose kindness. We choose humanity through him. Down below, in the tower, the executives watched in horror as screens lit up with alien messages they could not control. Carver's face twisted with rage. He screamed, "No! He belongs to us." But the world was already watching. People everywhere saw the truth. Not governments, not corporations, but a janitor, a single father, was chosen to speak for Earth. On the ship, Ethan stood trembling, the last word of the oath fading from his lips. The alien bowed deeply. "It is done. From this day you are Earth's voice among the stars." Ethan swallowed hard, looking down at his worn shoes, his tired hands. "I never wanted power," he said quietly. "That is why you deserve it," the alien replied. Lily tugged on his sleeve, smiling through tears. "Daddy, you did it. You really did it." Ethan hugged her close, his eyes wet. "No, Lily. We did it together." And as the ship rose higher into the heavens, The janitor nobody saw was seen by the whole galaxy. Not as a poor man, not as a tool, not as a shadow, but as a bridge of trust, a father who chose mercy, and a human whose alien words changed everything.